You know, I heard the same logic 30 years ago when we were instituting safety guidelines for our shop at the previous place that I worked. The same logic was, oh, the guard, it provides a false sense of security, and I'm safer because I can see the blade if the guard is missing. That's a red herring argument. You want to have the safety guards in place and the safety devices in place because they provide an additional level of safety. They don't make the machine safe, and that's your red herring argument. Oh, because it doesn't make the machine safe, I don't really need to use it because it's still unsafe. You want the safety devices in because not only do they make the machine a little bit more safe, they also reduce the risk of injury and reduce the risk of severe injury. That's what we're doing. We're reducing risk with the safety devices. We're not eliminating risk. If you try to say that it doesn't really eliminate the risk, then you're just leading us down a false argument and wasting everybody's time. So the spring return device, it serves several purposes. And one of those purposes is when you turn the machine on, that vibration could cause this to start walking and crawling forward. And that spring return is preventing that. That is a OSHA requirement. You've got to have that in place. You can also solve that problem by having your table not be level to the ground, but be slightly higher. It would still be parallel to the arm because you need that for accurate cuts, but you just have the whole machine canted slightly up so that gravity is always pushing it down. That's the other main purpose of the Spirator. As you're pulling it forward, it does help to prevent violent launching and crawling and kickback, and helps you to keep control of that saw head, of the cutter head. But to say it would provide a false sense of security and therefore you should leave it off, that's questionable logic. That's really questionable logic. Because it's better to have a safety device that has some little bit of added safety and it makes the action a little bit safer than to have no safety device and you now have clearly a more unsafe machine. Now, is this spring return going to prevent this machine from launching at me or crawling at me? No, it's not. It's just going to reduce the likelihood that it's going to, and it's going to allow me better control. There are other factors involved. One of the reasons why the home craftsman and home user models are not great models is because they aren't built robust and with heavy motors and carriages like this 1950s model or the newer original saw models. I do need to test this with just a simple blade because all I do is dados on it, so I don't really know how it behaves with just a single blade. But I do know with the dado blade, it does launch and crawl at me. And if you look at my video of when I'm cutting dados, I am pulling forward, stop, pulling forward, stopping. I'm pulling it forward and pushing back, pulling forward, pushing back, pulling forward, pushing back, because it's trying to launch out at me. And that's even with this safety device. This little spring device, I wish it were stronger. Maybe I could get the part that's on the original saw and install it on this because that's a much stronger thing, but it might be too strong for this cutter head. And that's the problem. This small cutter head with this 9-inch blade does not have as much physical motor weight and metal cast iron as the 14-inch machine does. And the 14-inch machine, we have rarely had in the 8 years any sort of violent launch, crawl, or kickback at us. And I attribute that to the construction and the design and the physical weight of that motor that's helping me, in addition to the spring return. Craftsman that I had at home, the 1970s Craftsman, it was the lightest, cheapest piece of crap in the world. Did it do the job? Yeah. Did it work? It worked. But I would not buy it these days. But when I was younger, in my 20s, I was, oh yeah, I need one of these. Yeah. Don't need it now. So I'm happy to be rid of that. For a while, Emerson was giving you parts and repair parts to make your Craftsman actually safer or safe enough to use. But they ran out of all of those kits. They aren't available anymore. The only thing available is a $50 rebate if you either cut your machine's cord and disable it and send them evidence to meet their requirements, or you send them the cutter head in and just get rid of it. So there are no available kits kits anymore, unfortunately. But you can't get $50. And I wish I knew that, because in 2020, when I was selling my machine, I just wanted to get rid of it. I wanted $50, $75 for it. I couldn't get anyone to bite. And I didn't know about the recall. I eventually took like $20 or $25 for it just to get it off my hands. And I could have got $50 with the rebate. I would have made more money. Should have done it. Dang, you can't know everything, right? Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time with more technical theater content.